You're now entering the LuxCore Studios. And you've secured a seat for the Protecting Your Radius podcast. Here, we build connections from your contracting profession to some of the top bleeding edge products and services. Don't get deterred. Let's not delay. Here is your host, Nathan Downs.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Protecting Your Radius podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Downs. I have today in studio Mr. Michael Greenfield, Kaya and Jim, everyone from MidAmerica Fence Supply. Everyone, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the opportunity to get in front with you guys.
You see, I can't be sitting here face to face with Kaya and Jim, so unfortunately, I've got Michael here. I've known Michael for a minute now. So, Michael, tell us. What's that, Jim?
Sorry about that.
Yeah. You guys are at the headquarters up there in Minnesota, and Michael made his way down as he's going through the rounds, spreading the word about what your company's doing, what's going on, introducing the ideas and the concepts from the company to the marketplace. So, Michael, with that being said, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? You've never been on any of my shows before, so feel free. The floor is yours.
Well, my name is Michael Greenfield. I'm actually from St. Louis, Missouri. I knew you from a past life where I was selling hardware.
Yep.
We met
green or blue hardware.
The blue hardware.
Okay. All right.
The blue hardware. We met probably 8 years ago, and just developed a relationship and a friendship, and consider you guys family friends. Hanging out with the Downs family every time I get down to Tulsa.
Yep.
But I've been in the business for going on 9 years right now. And I was actually, Northland was actually a customer of mine, and, developed a relationship with Jim and Pat and Kaya. And, Pat and Kaya and Jim kind of pitched this opportunity, and, here we are.
Yeah.
So excited to be working with the MidAmerica Fence team here, and excited to be spreading the word about what we're going to do going forward. And we're excited to get started. And I'm just happy to be here and appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. And Jim and Kaya, you guys were on the show about a month ago, or a little over a month ago, around the time when you guys went to the fence show out in Las Vegas. And you guys were introducing the brand to the world at that point, right? And Pat has had you all continuing to introduce the brand and tell us your story and do all these things. So without going too deep into what we talked about the first time on the last episode with y'all on the story, I think it's important for all the contractors out there to understand like the message of MidAmerica Fence Supply and the heart of what you guys are doing, because it's unique, especially in today's marketplace. So, Kaya, Jim, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, well, as we know, there's been a lot of companies who are being bought or purchased, kind of consolidating different companies together, and that leaves different gaps in the market. And we've seen those gaps, and we want to help the people in those gaps. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that these companies are being bought, but it can have some negative effects on the people who those companies might have serviced or didn't have an opportunity to service. So we see that, we recognize it, and we want to be the people to step in and help them and help take them to the next level.
Yeah, that's great. Jim, what do you want to add to that, buddy?
Not much, really. I mean, like you said, we saw an opening in the market that was created largely in part by COVID, really. COVID happened, and we couldn't get materials, and everybody else was suffering as well. And then we watched all these other companies getting bought out and, merging together and basically, taking over the market. And it left a lot of the smaller guys and a lot of the medium to small guys, without any opportunity to get materials, or it was difficult for them. And we found, a niche, and we decided to fill it.
Yeah, and I think that's important, Michael. What they're describing here is because, like, Northland Fence, which was the company that MidAmerica basically rose from that, what's going on there at your guys' installation company. There's many times especially in our industry and in construction in general, things happen in the marketplace due to a demand or a need, right? And as Jim was describing there, because of what was happening with COVID and all those different things, their team was able to identify the fact of the way things were done before just wasn't working the same way anymore, right? So the exponential growth, I would say, Jim, you guys really started a growth trajectory in 2018. Does that sound about right as far as the major bulkhead of massive amount of growth?
Yeah, 18, we started growing, and I think in 2020 is when we really kind of exploded and just kept expanding, and yeah, we really haven't stopped.
Yeah, because you guys are running, how many crews are you running today, to give context to that, because we haven't talked about this at all?
Well, between, with our installation method, we run over 20 crews go out every day.
Yeah.
And we've got service crews that go out as well. So.
Yep. No, and that's, that gives some background to, your authority in the marketplace. I mean, being a strong 8-figure company and continuing to grow at the breakneck speed. A lot of companies grew over the last few years, but again, you guys have positioned yourself that you've come up with some ideas, come up with some concepts that have been so long running, since Pat started Northland in 2004, that, even since I've known Pat, and I guess we probably met around 2018 or something. Kai, does that sound right? Did we meet? Or maybe it was 2020. Anyways,
2020 at Fence Tech in New Orleans.
Fence Tech, yeah. Hey, shout out Fence Tech. We're all going to be in Nashville in January. And I think we can talk about it now. Are you guys sponsoring part of that, or is there something going on, or you got a small little booth? You got a little tiny booth, Kaya?
Yeah, it's a little tiny one. You might be able to find it somewhere.
Like a 50 by 50?
And we are sponsoring the event as well.
Awesome. That's exciting. And that's January 26th through 29th in Nashville, Tennessee. It is going to be awesome. I have the privilege of still being the chapter president for the American Fence Association Midwest chapter. And we got to do our mid-years out there in late July. And Nashville is always a blast, especially if you like any type of music. It is a lot of fun. But Broadway, like where the convention center is and stuff like that, I want to say it was maybe 2 blocks, and these are like small city blocks right away from where all the cool stuff is.
Yeah, you're right near the football stadium, right near the hockey arena. It's Nashville's a great town.
It is.
It's a lot of fun, and I think we're gonna have a great time at the show, and we'll be able to get in front of our customer base there, which is important for us, and be able to tell the story. I think that's going to be key. That's going to be key to our growth, and certainly being visible with at Fence Tech. I mean, the industry trade show, the big one every year, is going to be key, and people knowing we're out there and exist.
Yeah, absolutely. So any one of the three of you can answer this, but the unique thing about MidAmerica Fence Supply is that we're offering products and solutions that are from a driven perspective. And I know really the concept, you guys use sky drills. Is that sky drill? Ski drill? Sky drill? Is that right? Sky driver? I don't even know what they're called. We don't drive. So say that, Jim.
They're sky drills. Yeah.
Sky drills. Okay. And but like I like exactly. You tried them all. Yep. So talk about that, Jim, because I mean, I think that's probably important to understand. You guys are going to be offering some of these things where you can buy, like for a company like mine, I talked to Pat about that. Like, hey, give me some material. I need to buy a driver. I don't have a driver. I need to buy this thing, do all this stuff, kind of explain to me why you've chosen to do this. So, but that's pretty unique because the main thing that you guys have is you have packaged systems for the products that your company installs, but you have it on a massive scale of inventory that nobody knew was hiding up there in Minnesota, and now it's spreading out through the region, right? So, Jim, what's that look like? Like, explain again. Let's go through a couple of the products, or Kaya, you could do that too, or Michael. What are we actually offering now that we're at this point in the game? And what's the methods? Like, how are we teaching people? And I know I'll let you guys take the floor on that, because I know that's a big part of this. Even when I've talked to each of you individually about trying the system, is that your customer service in the ideas and the things that you're setting in place already makes you different than some of the other guys that just say, hey, just buy my system and watch this video. But, I can actually call any one of the three of you, and you have real answers and real solutions for me out in the field, which is what we're going to need, because we don't drive posts. So, Jim, what's the catalog offering, and kind of what's the message behind that as we start shipping product and selling product?
Well, like we said before, all of our product is really designed for the driven method. All of our material, we stick to very basic products. We do 4-foot and 5-foot black chain link. We use 2-inch posts for everything. We do 6-foot white and tan khaki vinyl, and we do 4-foot and 5-foot ornamental. And it's all geared toward the driven system. All our posts are already pre-cut. So for your 4-foot, your posts are already cut. You're not getting an 8-9-foot post that you have to deal with out there on the job site. All of our packages are geared so that when you order a specific package, we're going to provide, the drive posts, the sleeve posts, the material to build the fence that you need for the size of the project you have. Whether that's, 200 feet or 1,000 feet. And, you get over a certain amount of money, you're looking at, over a $25,000 order, we'll give you a driver to go with it, to try out. Like I said, we're not dead set on any particular driver. There's many people who use Rhino and US Hammer and Sky Drill, and we've tried them all. I guess it's all in your preference on which one you prefer, which one you like better than the other. We like Sky Drill for now. They perform really well. So
yeah. And Michael, what would you say from what you've seen? Because this is the driving method is probably pretty new to you too,
sure.
As well, right?
Absolutely.
So, what have you seen examples or like scenarios and stuff like that of how this system works?
Well, one of the things that I've learned from the crew here, and obviously I defer to Kai and Jim, and they came up with they know the system way better than me. But when I'm talking to a prospective customer out there, and you talk to them about, hey, you don't have to have these massive trailers hauling, 80-pound bags of saccharine or concrete to the job site. You're as Jim always alludes to, you're never going to completely eliminate concrete, but what if you only had to dig 1 or 2 holes on every job? What would, one of the things, from my past life, when I first started at the Blue Hardware Company, when I first started there, I would always ask customers to let me take a look in their yard. Like, hey, I'm new to the industry. Is there any way I could just kind of see what you're about? Just let me walk through the yard. A lot of times you see piles of dirt, and I'm like, well, what is that? Oh, that's all the dirt that we hauled away from the jobs for the last 6 weeks. And I'm like, right. Well, what do you do with that? It's like, oh, we just wave a magic wand and hope it disappears. Well, obviously that never happens. You're right. Making trips to the dump, but so you can, potentially eliminate most of the concrete that you're using. Your guys are going to be, your install crews are going to be much happier if they're not having to lug 80-pound bags of, to each post on a job, walk it. And the other key that I think is awesome is the fact that the customer's yard looks like nothing. It looks like once the fence has been installed, it looks like the fence has been there for 10 years. Yeah. There's no dirt trail. There's just no mess. And that to me is very appealing as a homeowner, because the last thing I actually had a fence put in 3 years ago, and they left a pile of dirt. I had to pay a guy to come out there and level the yard. Mm-hmm. Cause I mean, I had dirt everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow.
Did we do your fence, or
you did not?
Okay.
You did not.
Sounds like our guys.
No, you did not do our fence.
Okay.
I don't think you come all the way up to St. Louis.
That'd be a big service call charge.
But also, if I could just kind of echo on something that Kai brought up, a lot of consolidation in the industry, that's not a good thing. That's not a bad thing. I mean, it just depends. But one of the things that I've noticed talking to customers is that the big wholesalers have lost focus on maybe the small to medium contractors, and that's where we feel like MidAmerica can step in and fill a gap, give good customer service, provide excellent product, and provide support behind the scenes. And I think that's key because, a lot of times we're, coming from, big businesses, we're always looking at, the top customers that are, the 20% that are, providing 80% of the revenue.
Sure.
And, there's a lot of the 80% guys that aren't being serviced, and that's where we intend to come in and provide a great service to them.
That's really good. Yeah, from a contractor perspective, and Jim, you'll appreciate this too, I'm sure to some degree. Yeah, I've noticed over the last 5 years, especially through the pandemic times, that the quality of service that we received at the national distributors and wholesalers has been inadequate, is the best way to put it. And I say that from the perspective of, I remember what it was like beforehand when I was coming up in the business on the contracting side. So I've only been in the contracting side for 10 years. But I do remember before that, when I was at Ameristar, working with the security contractor services of the world and stuff like that. It always felt different working like with this regional, like family owned thing, like Barry Mars and all this. Tim was the president at the time, worked with him often on projects and stuff. And I just remember there was just something different about that. And then when I got into contracting, Jameson Fence Supply was here locally in Tulsa, and they were out of Dallas, and, the Wallaces just ran that company so great. And, which is why, like Jim, you mentioned earlier you have the FSGs of the world where they, they buy up a Binford, they buy up Merchants Metals, they, Eastern Wholesale, all these different guys. And then you've got the Master Halco buying Jameson Fence Supply out and whatnot. And through this process, we've lost something. I don't know what that something is, but it's just different. You do have some of the distributors where they only have key accounts. So the will call business is all but dead. But then it was dead, and now they bring it back because the key account thing, it works. But you know what I'm saying? They know that something's lost there. And I respect you guys a lot for looking out for the little guys, or looking out for the up and comers that want to position themselves different, especially in their markets, but maybe just have, like a different catalog, a different offering. I remember, Kaya, a couple weeks ago, you said something about Costco and, how that, like, relating Costco to MidAmerica Fence Supply. So will you remind me what that was? Because I don't want to steal your thunder on that concept.
Just how, Costco has everything, I believe. Was that my example?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They carry everything.
Yeah, and everything is great, but then your customer, they're constantly wanting more. They're asking for something different. And that's great, but at the same time, as a company, you want to run efficiently, and you want to have the materials, the products that your customers, for the majority in general, want. And if you spend your time purchasing or having all of these other products, you take up space in your warehouse. It doesn't allow you to work efficiently because you're having to cross-train all your guys into these different materials. Where if you stick to just a handful of what sells, what you can profit and have good margins on, you're only going to make more money off of that. Your crews are going to be specific, and they're going to know exactly what they're doing. They're going to come into problems, and they're going to know exactly how to solve them. And we can certainly come in to play with that support if you have your guys out there and they have one of our sky drills and something happens and they don't know how to fix it because they're new to driving. Well, give Jim, myself, Michael a call. We're going to be there to help you, walk you through how to solve the problem, how to maintain the piece of equipment, and how to keep it running for years to come so that you can keep installing, you can keep trying out the process or the product and perfecting it. So you are the person in your market who's got it, who knows what they're doing, and who the customer wants to go to because they're the expert there.
For over 30 years, Southwest Automated Security has been the premier provider of gate operators, access controls, CCTV, and so much more. Visit southwestautomated.com today, taking dealers to the next level.
Yeah, that's good. And so what she was saying, Michael, there too, that I noticed, Kaya, you had mentioned and walked around it, was that almost you offer everything, but then you skinny the catalog.
Sure.
Right.
Well, one of the things that I, notice walking around yards, when you get a chance, if you're going to, XYZ wholesaler or distributor, they'll have piles of fence, and I'm like, what's going on with this? Oh, that sells every once in a while, but that's not a real heavy mover. Well, the Costco method, and first of all, it should be known that Nate and I are big fans of Costco. Big fans of Costco. That's my favorite activity. Some people like to go to the zoo. Some people like to go ride bikes. I like to walk through Costco.
He literally walked through Costco when he came into Tulsa. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just popping into Costco.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Well, the Costco in Tulsa is not busy. You can get in and out in a hurry. The one
you see it on the weekends.
Yeah, on the weekends, sure.
Because we all have to work down here. So,
but the Costco philosophy works because, first of all, Costco's a very successful organization. I mean,
sure.
And when you go into Costco, they might have 3 or 4 different styles of jeans. But it's not like you're walking into Old Navy where they have, 300 different styles of jeans, whether they, so, we use the KISS philosophy, the keep it simple, stupid. We're going to carry the products that sell 80% of the time. And that's going to help us and that's going to help the customer because it's going to help turns on our end, on their end, and we're going to have the product there. And then in 3 or 4 years, what happens a lot of times is a product gets discontinued, right? Well, then the kids are playing in the backyard and one of them, runs through, or one of them's playing with an ATV and they drive right through the fence. And then that panel is, a 3-rail picket top that's scalloped is not available anymore, right?
Right.
You can try and find it, right? But it's never going to match. Our product, we're carrying 3-foot flat top and 3-rail flat top and 4-foot and 5-foot. And we're going to carry that now. And we're going to carry that in a year. We're going to carry that in 2 years. So, you're not going to have to worry about trying to, replace several sections when you just need to replace one.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's what I think happens to a lot of the smaller to medium-sized contractors is that the wholesalers lose touch of that. And then, they spend a lot of time trying to find a product that's going to work because it's not made or manufactured anymore. So
that's good. I was thinking, Michael, as you just said that, we just had real world scenario. We just had a big windstorm come through in June down here. And I went and looked at 2 vinyl fences. Jim, you're really going to appreciate this one. And the vinyl fence system itself was an old, 15-year-old Lowe's system with brackets that held it all together. So they don't even make the brackets, right? So I'm sitting here talking to this lady and I'm looking at it, taking pictures. I'm texting my crew that does my vinyl, right? And I'm like, dude, have you ever seen this? Oh yeah, we know what it is. What are we going to do? What do we do? And he goes, you need to tell her we need to rip it all out. You can't repair that. And I was like, okay. And she's going on and on about how to repair it. And I'm just sitting there smiling, thinking, I'm like, ma'am, this is physically impossible to repair. Like the way that it's damaged. So, like all these different things. And I'm just like, oh man, I'm the bearer of bad news here. So I had to go by like a week or two ago, and she still doesn't have it fixed. It's all like taped up for her dog. And I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. But that's important, because even like from what I've seen of the thousands of pictures that you guys have on your websites and stuff like that, it's the standard, right? Like it's nothing crazy. It's nothing special. It's like the 2-rail 6-foot privacy white vinyl. Like it's what I would expect. Like it's not the cheap crap from a box store. Sorry, box stores out there. It's not the small extrusion. It's the standard extrusion. It's the 5x5 post. It's, the things that would assume would be something normal, right? But that's the funny thing about the market today. Nothing seems to be normal anymore. So we have to create that, especially as small companies. We have to create our own new normal. We have to make sure that what we offer, like you said, Michael, that's really profound, because you have to be offering things that aren't going to be, flavor of the month in 2023. And we get to 2024 and they don't make that thing. Like I said, like the bracketed PVC system that I'm telling you, these brackets were so cheesy. Like I'm sitting there like bending them with my fingers, like, good. Dude.
I had a fence like that I replaced with a true vinyl fence.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, we did it out of necessity because we got a dog. We got a big dog, and I mean the dog could run right through
it.
Yeah, I mean my kids were playing soccer in the backyard, and one of them was mad at the other, and she pushed her into the fence, and then the fence fell right through.
The whole fence falls over.
And my wife was like, "Well, what are you going to do?" I'm like, "I'm just going to laugh because you can't do anything. We need a new fence."
Yeah. Kaya, you put together a PowerPoint. Michael was showing me this last night, and I believe there's a video, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think there's a video showing like how your PVC fence, like privacy PVC fence, upheld against some other fences in the same neighborhood, like right next door and stuff. Can you describe that? I'm gonna try to have Rob interject that video here as we're talking, so people can actually see like a real world scenario. And then Jim, if you have anything on like why that happened, I'm completely interested in this whole video that I saw here.
Yeah, so we, it was more in the southern metro here, and we had a project that we had installed. I can't remember exactly when, if it was a couple months or a few years after the fact, but regardless, they had a windstorm come through. It was about 70-mile-an-hour winds, and their pickets had popped out. So, of course, we're going to come out there, we're going to fix that. No cost to the homeowner, because reputation is everything, and it's an easy fix for us, so we're just going to go out there. It's going to take us an hour, and we're going to get out of there and be done with it. So we had our guys go out there, pop the pickets back in, and as we were completing this repair, Jim was actually out there, and he looked down the road a little bit, and he saw a competitor's fence who does not use the drive system, who doesn't have that additional steel reinforcement going 4 feet below grade and then 4 feet above, keeping that hollow post in place. They don't do that. So it was very telling when you walk down there and just saw at where those posts met the ground, it just completely folded over, because it's just, very thin, plastic holding up 8 feet sections. And with the weight alone, I mean, that's a lot. And then you have these winds pounding against it. Of course, it's just going to fold right over. So for us, because we had those posts, it was super easy to just pop those pickets right back in, where that homeowner, unfortunately, had to have an insurance claim. They had to have the post redug up, completely replace the fence, where it took them weeks, probably months, given that this was one of probably 100 of fence that needed repair work in the area. And ours was done in an hour or two, and they could let their dog out and continue living like normal, unlike the neighbor.
And Jim, it looked like there was maybe only a couple posts that might even need to be reset. I mean, not any single one of your alls had much deflection at all compared to seeing the other fence that was literally laying on the ground, as you see that video here. So thinking about that, does that, like Kaya mentioned there, that you guys did that as a customer service, right? Almost like a warranty thing that didn't need to be a warranty, but you did it. Does that create something different out there in your market when you did that? Like, were you guys able to use that as an additional selling point, or did you just do that 1 yard, or what did that look like through that event?
Actually, no. We didn't use it as a selling point, not for a long time. Northland has never been about bad-mouthing any other fence company or how they do anything, how they install things or anything like that. We just believed in our drive method. We've done testing on it. We've proven it. We've done pull testing on a hollow post and pull testing on a post with steel. And a 5x5 plastic post just doesn't hold up when you've got a 2 3/8 Schedule 20 post driven in the ground. I mean, it doesn't even, they're not even close.
Yeah.
Strength-wise. And to expound on the whole storm thing, that was actually straight line tornadoes that came through. We did, in that neighborhood, we actually rebuilt 3 fences in that neighborhood. And actually between a Friday and a Saturday, we found out there was 48 fences that had blown apart down in that area. And Pat said, you know what? Let's just do a good PR thing and show people really what we're about. And he sent all our crews out on Friday and Saturday, and we repaired and fixed all 48 of those fences. And now that fence that was laying down, 2 months later, it was still laying down. Just want to throw that out there. Hollow posts, it's still laying on the ground. And ours were all rebuilt and all put back together again. And, that's kind of the message he wanted to send to everybody. Not only is our drive method, is it a superior method for, building vinyl, but our company stands behind everything that we install. And, we're there to help you out.
Yeah, one of the things that Pat has always preached is you look at Northland Fence on Google, and we have a couple different locations on there, but Pat is obsessed with Pat, Kaya, and Jim, the whole crew. Has always been obsessed with giving great service. I mean, if you look at our Google reviews, 4.9 and they,
4,000 reviews.
Yeah.
And that's just one site.
Over 1,000 reviews. And, there's a quote that Warren Buffett, I'm a quote guy. It's a quote that Warren Buffett, that I love to use. Warren Buffett, obviously a very shrewd investor.
I think we know him.
Yeah. I think we've heard of him. Yeah. I mean, we're not too far from Omaha, but it says he says it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's just the way, that's the philosophy. That's what sold me on, coming to work with Pat, Kaya, and Jim is like, yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, could that have been an insurance claim? Sure. It could have been an insurance claim, but guess what? We went out, I didn't, but they went out and they fixed it. And guess what? When that homeowner has a new neighbor that comes in or a friend that builds a house or buys a house in that subdivision, they're going to be like, use these guys. They're awesome. They came out. Here's what happened. They came out, they fixed it. And we weren't without a fence, but for 24 hours.
Yeah. I mean, everybody, like, if you didn't see the video, go on freaking YouTube and rewind to this point in the conversation to see the video, because just watching that here, I'm just perplexed. Like, as a consumer, I don't know how I wouldn't hire your company to put in the fence. You know what I'm saying? Like, seeing them side by side, watching the one folded over and the other one just all the pieces blown out, and then to have that. That's why I mentioned, Jim, if using that as a sales perspective. But even I think a lot of people don't understand. You don't have to talk about some of this stuff, and it can still be a sales piece, right, Michael? Like, you could still just do things, and I know Pat and I have talked a lot about that offline. We've talked together in private, talking about, it's not what we do out in public. It's what we do when no one's looking.
Yeah.
Like, who you really are is when no one sees what you're doing and you're seeing these things. Michael got a little look into that this morning before we get in the studio, watching me get my butt kicked. And you guys were gracious waiting. So that's a good example. Just to get this podcast done, it took us, we were over an hour late getting with Kai and Jim here to make this happen. But, it's what people don't see right?
Behind the scenes.
Like everybody will see like, oh, you guys did this and you're great. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't see the butt kickings. You don't see how we react to the different problems and challenges every day. And I think that's what I like about the idea that you guys are doing at MidAmerica Fence Supply is that it's something different. It's something different for many of us, but you guys have a track record, right? Like you have this presence that's been around long enough where I can sit there and look at each of you and go, hey, a couple decades of doing it and doing it successfully, but really showing that in the marketplace today, how it's accelerating, right? It's not just like growing a little bit. I mean, it is massively accelerating because that proposition is unique. It's something different. There wasn't other people, in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area going around fixing 50 fences in 48 hours because they could. And maybe they tried, but you know what I'm saying? Like I'll preach for you. You don't have to say it, Jim, Kaya. I can say it for you. But Michael, what do you think is the other difference there for the group?
Well, I mean, typically a lot of times some of the smaller contractors, they're answering the phone, they're installing the fence, they're going to the supplier, they're getting all the product. When you call us, a live person answers, right? That's the same at Northland. That's the same at MidAmerica Fence Supply. That's the same. And that when a customer has an issue and they can physically talk to a person versus leaving a message. I mean, I hear this from fence companies, in my almost 9 years or over 9 years in this business. I hear that like a fence company will hire someone to answer the phone. And that automatically having that voice and that person there that can, calm them down and, versus leaving a nasty, voicemail and, not hearing back from the guy for 6 hours or whatever, because he's out on the job site. And, but I think that's important for customers to have that personal touch. And I firmly believe that that's how, the philosophy that Pat, Kaya, and Jim, instilled in the installers and their salespeople and everybody from the guy that's working in the warehouse to the guy that's physically going out and measuring the job. They have a great system in place, but there's always someone you can talk to, as opposed to leaving, you have a receptionist here that answers your phone. I mean, it's important. People need to have that human connection. Have you ever tried to call the credit card company or tried to call the cell phone company and it takes 5 minutes before you're speaking with a person and you're just fuming?
Yeah.
Or you call Walgreens to refill a prescription and you
never talk to anyone.
The human touch, the human element is certainly very important. And being there, I mean, I don't know. I think Jim and Kaya would agree that's a differentiator.
Yeah. And Kaya, I think you said on the first episode that we did with you guys, one of your goals in customer service is because of the catalog offerings that you guys have, that you're going to be pushing to be very responsive with that. So what, as you're getting further into this process here, what does that actually look like for me? Like if I call you guys up and I need a quote and we're talking about a project or something, or I'm talking about, hey, I need to get a stocking order of, the steel product and the PVC. Like what are you looking at process flow wise, turnaround times on quotes and shipping and all that stuff?
Yeah, well, we're pretty quick with everything just in general. You give me email over, you give us a call, let us know pretty much what materials you're looking for. What's nice about us is that our chain link, specifically all of the hardware for, the fittings, they're all sold in kits. So you pretty much just tell me how many corner posts, end posts, and line posts you have. I throw that on the quote and it's ready to go. So your math, your hookups, it's quite easy of a process just for you to calculate them, send them over, and for me to put that into a bid. I send that over to you, and then from there we accept it. I send you an invoice, and then Jim helps me out and gets the trucking, that logistical side, all set up. So all said and done, depending on your location, just a couple of days to get that order out to you. If you're local, it can be that next day, if not that day, depending on the size and time of day, we're communicating.
And one thing, Kaya, you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, and I heard you say it, I didn't bring it back up because I was like kind of sitting on it, that you said something about chain link has all the same posts and they're 2-inch. Like, this is a novel idea to me.
Yeah, so and that's one of Pat's big things was getting our materials down to exactly what we need. We don't have to be the Costco offering everything to everybody. You know, be different in the market, kind of create your own path. So that's exactly what we did. Kind of industry standards might be to increase your posts, you know, diameter, depending on its location, if it's a corner or a line. And for us, we didn't see the benefit in having all these different SKUs in stock and having to worry about making sure that each crew had enough of said posts to complete the install. So we took a look at it. Pat made the decision to just stock 2-inch posts. And with that, our crews just have to worry about that one SKU. Rarely are we having to drop material out to them because they literally just have bundles in their truck ready to go always. And it doesn't affect in a negative way the structural integrity of the fence. Everything remains extremely strong. And because we use that drive method, we're able to get so much further down into the ground than your standard concrete footing is going to be. And being in the Midwest, we have to worry about the constant changing of the ground, the freezing, the thawing, the moisture content of the soil. So with the change, with the drive method, we're just able to be so efficient and offer our customers a great product.
That's good. So Jim, you can confirm to me as an Okie who has never even thought about using a 2-inch pipe for a hanging gate. A 4-foot wide or a 5-foot wide gate is going to hang on a 2-inch post like that? Yep. There's a way to do it.
Well, like we said, you know, in certain situations, certain grounds, different things, it's all going to make a difference. Like we said, you're not going to always be able to just drive a post and walk away and hang a gate on it. You know, you're still going to need concrete sometimes. You know, we kind of have a standard too when we do our 5x5 gates, or, you know, if they're on a standalone post, it's just too much spring to it. So,
yep.
You know, it's the same thing with your vinyl post. You know, we still use a gate stiffener because we've tried it. Believe me, I have done so much testing out in the backyard because of Pat wanting to, I just don't want to use concrete. You got to find a way to drive a post down and make it work. I've tried it with Schedule 40. I can't even count how many things that I've tried to make a stiffener without concrete. I've gone the ground, 5 feet in the ground, Schedule 40, bigger post, everything. But at the end of the day, you still get, you know, round is geometrically is not the greatest shape. They don't build a lot of bridges out of round things. It's always squares, you know.
Right.
You get too much flex. And, you know, when you're on a lot of vinyl gates and a lot of, you know, your ornamental gates, you get very little on the latch side. It's got to line up. You know, if it varies just a little bit, it won't latch. Well, if the post bounces at all and that latch hits, well, what if you've got a little kid in the backyard and you just, you know, swung the gate closed and it just bounced out that latch and you weren't paying attention, and now your kid's off walking into the street because your latch didn't line up.
Yep.
We didn't want that. You know, we want to make sure what the fence we build is solid and is good. You know, we stand behind everything we do, so it's got to be great every time.
Yep. And I think that's the message that everyone should be listening to the most, is that you guys, again, I cannot reiterate this enough. You have done this for long enough to know what works and doesn't work. We're now introducing a supplier that has product, that has solutions in-house that can answer these questions, that can guide us down the road, like the question I just asked there, where I'm sitting here thinking, dude, there's no way I can freaking make that work. But as you explain it and we get into the weeds more as we need to, you know, I'm open to try anything, Michael. I mean, I think it's a cool concept. You know, there have been people driving posts for 50 years. You know, it's just finally making its way around to be, you know, something that many more people are open to do in someone's backyard, because I promise you, 3 years ago, if you brought this up to me, I'd be like, there's no way I'm not doing that. But the world's changed. The things have changed, and we all have to change with it and stuff. So with that being said, we're going to kind of wrap this thing up here, put a bow tie on it. Any one of the three of you, do you have any closing thoughts, anything you want to leave with the listeners out there?
I want to just expound on the one thing that we mentioned earlier, and that's if you have questions about driving, in certain soils, or you have certain problems and everything like that, like we've said before, and like Michael Michael said too, when you call us, you're going to get the experience on the phone. We've been there, we've done that. We've experimented, we've tested, we've done a lot of things. So you're not just going to get somebody on the phone that says, well, yeah, it should that works. It should work. We're going to tell you, no, it's not going to work. You're going to have to do it this way. Or, yeah, that's a great idea. This is how we do it. You're going to get that experience when you call.
I like that.
You're truly dealing with a family-run business.
Yeah.
I mean, you're truly dealing with a family-run business. I mean, that's to me that's awesome. Especially we're almost to 2024 right now. There's not a lot of family-run businesses that are out there that are truly family-run. I mean, Kaya's second generation. She actually has a younger brother that will probably be involved in the business. We'll all be working for him someday. I'm not family, but Pat talks to us like we're family, right?
Sure.
Treats us great, takes good care of us. And, that's the thing, dealing with a family friendly business where you're not a number, you're not just a number.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get that when I feel that when I'm talking to any one of you guys about this stuff. Cause like I said, it's scary, it's scary not doing driving stuff. Jim's laughing because I'm sure you're sitting there thinking, come on, dude, it ain't that bad. But it's something new, something different, something not what I've grown up seeing. But at the same time, I like the idea. I'm always pushing the envelope down here in my market with designs and styles. But as Kai mentioned at the beginning of the show, you get to a point now where our niche is we're the custom fence guys. But then you see that we have 9,000 different offerings. And I'm just like, okay, can I have one day where we just have like 6 things we do and we do it well? I'd be okay with that. Or I'm going to start a different company and say like 6-thing fence or something like that. And just be like, we just do these 6 things. And if you want the crazy stuff, contact those boys at Radius because they'll figure that out. But anyways, we appreciate you guys coming on the show. We'll continue getting information out there for all the listeners and viewers about what's going on with MidAmerica Fence Supply. So again, the offerings, we're really going to start a campaign here for you guys and working with you on explaining the things that you're doing, like the black chain links. Like we offer 5-foot and we offer 4-foot black chain link. Well, why? Like, this is why. This is how this works. The kit idea, Kai, I told you this the first time. I'm in love with that concept. I'm already talking to Taylor and Donnie about that. I'm like, we could kit this stuff. Like, they're like, why do we do it the same way it's always been done? Like, why does my ornamental manufacturer sell me 2 brackets in a bag when I have a panel that needs 6 brackets? Okay, so I buy 3 bags. But then what if I need the end bracket, but I have to have 2 bags of 2, so then I end up with 1? And like all these things. And I'm like, I don't want to be in the business of repackaging these things. But I can promise you, I have lost thousands of dollars. And every business owner out there listening to this, especially in fence, you've lost thousands and thousands of dollars from product or different things just walking off, getting thrown away, getting scratched up. And you're sitting there thinking, everything costs so much now too, where, I got to start looking at it differently.
And from a company that installs, I mean, the last thing you want to be doing is running, brace bands and tension bands out to a job
and we do it all the time
because the guy, your guy that's pulling the order grabs 2 things of tension bands and instead of 1 thing of tension bands and 1 thing of brace bands.
Right.
We eliminate that. And I can only assume from that Jim has used the vehicle to take things out there, and they came up with this method, which is brilliant because guess what? You're not going to be short a bolt.
Yeah.
You're not going to be short a nut. You're going to have everything you need when you go out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then, Jim, if I am short a bolt or a nut or something, I'm going back in the warehouse. I'm finding the guy packaging that stuff. I'm going to stun him right in his face. What are you doing back here? Get out of here. Come back. Let's fix this, but then get out of here.
No wonder that's like the fourth guy I've seen in the last 2 weeks here.
Exactly. Right.
Just had it out there, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So if people want to reach out to you, we want to start doing some pricing, right? Want to get some quotes out there, ask questions, open up a line of communication. What's a good email address? Would you rather them call, email? I would assume email probably would be the easiest, right? To communicate faster.
Yeah, email's always great.
Kai, which email do you want them to send that to?
It'll be sales, plural, so SALES at midamericafence.com.
MidAmerica Fence. Sales at midamericafence.com. Mm-hmm. Michael, you're the sales guy, allegedly. What? You got anything else?
Well, I was just going to say, if you could put this in a link to our website.
Yeah, that's good.
If you could put a link to our website.
We'll ask Rob. We'll see how he feels.
With our phone number and our our email to get a hold of us.
What's your phone number there too, just in case? So we got it run down.
That's 612-441-3841.
There you go.
And we'll give you got a copy of this. You could just
like I said, we'll see if Rob feels like it. We'll have to help you out.
We'll have to coerce Rob.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Kaya, Jim. Thank you for your patience and getting this thing off the ground. Michael, thanks for popping in the studio here today. And we're excited to see where MidAmerica Fence Supply goes through the end of 2023, but especially going into 2024 with all the great things you guys are doing out there not in the marketplace. And go ahead.
I was going to say, president of the AFA chapter for the Midwest for the We're going to a golf tournament. MidAmerica is a
platinum sponsor.
Platinum sponsor.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are sticking your money where your mouth is. Like, that is one thing I can say that I appreciate about your whole team is that, you are us, like, if that makes sense. So, like, just by sponsoring, throwing out some money and sponsoring our event tomorrow up in Afton, Oklahoma, there's, right now, I think when I was looking at the list last night, I mean, there's going to be over 150 fence and gate people there, and half of them are contractors. And I'm like, what better way to give back than sponsoring and supporting these different things that we're doing around the, the industry? Like Kaya, you mentioned, like with the big booth at Fence Tech and the stuff that you guys are going to be doing across the board and working with the Fence Show and all these different things leading up over time. I mean, you guys really do understand what it means to be part of the community. And I thank you as someone that sees that stuff that I don't think, Michael, like you just mentioned, though, I don't think we talk about it enough sometimes because it matters. Like, I always remember people, especially having to chair a golf tournament. I am fully aware of every freaking sponsor and what they've given or donated to the event. And it matters.
Sure.
Right. And it matters for the kids that we're going to give a scholarship to going into next year for college. It matters for those new fence guys and gate guys in the marketplace that we're going to be sending to Arlington, Texas here next month, at the beginning of next month for American Fence Association University, AFAU, down there. Like, we're sending people for free. Like, it matters to them. That's what this money does. Like, we're not like just I had someone ask me that the other day. What do you do with the money that I know you're making a profit off of the golf tournament? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, do you know how much money we give away? Like, we find service projects to do. We find different things. We did a Ronald McDonald House. We did a baseball field for like a little, like Special Olympics Little League team a couple of years ago. I mean, like, because we can, and because that's what we're, gifted and directed to do, when we have some success, when we're able to do that. And anyways, we appreciate you guys. Continue to look out. All the information's there to reach out to them. Hit up Kaya. She wants to bid everything she possibly can right now. And we'll get the whole catalog of things. If there's something you think, remember, the only thing MidAmerica Fence Supply really doesn't do is wood. But they do, you guys do the vinyl, you do the chain link, and you do the iron in some SKUs. So ask and you shall receive. And appreciate you guys. And we will see everyone on the next episode. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Nate.
You've been listening to the Protecting Your Radius podcast from the LuxCore Studios in Bixby, Oklahoma. Thanks for sticking around, and connect with us and all of our partners at www.protectingyourradius.com. We want to thank our premier partners. LuxCore, the newest line of premium quality composite infill to slide into your fence track fence system. Frame your style today. Also, Stain Track, the world's first patented standalone stain machine. Utilizing flood coat technology, Stain Track covers boards, pickets, posts, and any type of dimensional wood you can think of. And what better way to use your Stain Track machine than to use the easy application WoodDefender family of stains. WoodDefender goes on easy and covers in one coat with no back brushing. And of course, the true power of our show is you, the listener. Please rate and review our show on whatever platform you consume this content. Your 5-star likes and reviews help other contractors get the message that we all want to be better and do better. And in the construction world, we can never forget that before you can be great, you've got to be good. Before you can be good, you've got to be bad. But before you can even be bad, you've got to try.